Howdy! Ever heard college students talk about their school life? Sometimes it seems like they're speaking an entirely different language. To help keep you from embarrassing yourself on our visit, we thought we'd introduce you to a few terms before we head to campus. Admission deadline. You have to get your application in by a certain date to attend a university for a fall semester. These dates vary greatly, so double-check months ahead of time. Your application is usually only one piece of the admissions process. You'll need your ACT or SAT scores sent from the school. Remember, if you don't have high enough math or English scores on the ACT or SAT, you may be required to take remedial level classes, which don't give you any credit and which you have to pay for. If you thought 9th grade math was bad, try paying hundreds of dollars for the privilege of taking it again in college. You'll also need an official transcript to send in with your application. Notice that the application may also ask you about things like whether or not you've had any volunteer experience or disciplinary action, such as suspension, since the 9th grade. The things you're doing now can affect your future. An official transcript is usually in a sealed envelope with an official seal or watermark. You can't just print it off skyward. Usually you have to write an essay and send in a non-refundable application fee. In 2014, the application fee for UVU is $35. Once you are accepted into the university, you do not have to apply every semester. Getting into the university doesn't automatically get you into the department, sometimes known as college, that you want for your major. This is especially true of competitive arts-based departments such as music, graphic design, or interior decorating. There are two main types of universities. There are private universities and public universities. Private schools generally charge higher tuition because public colleges are funded in part by the state and federal governments. What's tuition, you say? It's the money you pay to be able to take classes. Generally, there are three kinds of tuition rates. There is one rate, in-state tuition, if you attend a college in Utah. Out-of-state tuition at UVU is more than 3 times as expensive. Graduate-level tuition, when you're working on a master's degree, is generally more expensive than in-state, but not as expensive as out-of-state tuition. How will they know if I'm in-state or not? To get in-state tuition, you have to prove your residency, or the fact that you're a resident of the state of Utah. Generally, a college requires proof that you've lived in the state for 1 or 2 years before you will qualify for in-state tuition. Graduating from high school in the same state is usually enough. Otherwise, you have to provide a Utah driver's license, copies of your parents' tax forms, a letter from an employer, vehicle, or voter registration. So you're saying I basically have to go to school in Utah or pay an enormous amount of money for tuition? Well, there are a couple of other options. You can try and get a scholarship. Scholarships are money based on academic performance or other merits, such as the Utah Regents Scholarship. You can lose a scholarship if your academic performance falls below their requirements. A grant, which is a one-time lump sum of money, is usually based on income levels and need. We've all heard about student loans. What's the difference between a loan and a grant? Well, a student loan you have to pay back with interest. To qualify for many financial aid products, you'll have to fill out what's known as a FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The FAFSA has their own deadlines and applications. There's also a program called the Western Undergraduate Exchange. You can apply for this program, and if you get in, you can then apply to have an out-of-state tuition rate that is only 150% of the regular in-state rate. Some of the colleges are located in Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, Utah, Washington, Wyoming, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. At UVU, if you're a full-time student, which means taking between 12 and 18 credits, there's one tuition rate. Currently, in 2014, it is $2,271 per semester. If you are only taking a few classes, tuition is charged by the number of credits that you take. A 1-credit class, which means that it meets once a week for an hour, is $346. A 2-credit class, meeting twice a week, is $521 for a semester. The more credits you take, the more affordable the price for each credit is. What year you are in school depends on how many credits you've received. not how many years you've put in. A freshman has between 0 and 29 credits, a sophomore 30 to 59 credits, a junior 60 to 89 credits, and a senior 90 and above. Students at UVU are encouraged to take at least 15 credits a semester to finish in a timely manner. Now, before you go thinking that tuition is all there is, there are also mandatory fees. Fees cover things like paper, printing, processing your registration, and other fun stuff. To take a 1-credit class at UVU actually costs $398 because there are $52 worth of fees. By the way, tuition and fees doesn't include your textbooks, which can range between $60 and $150 a piece, or room and board. Room and board? Room and board means somewhere to live and food to eat. Sometimes scholarships include room and board. If you want to take a class just to learn, but not be required to do the homework or get a grade, it's called auditing. You can audit classes, but you still have to pay the tuition and the fees. In case you didn't know, failing a class in college does not mean that you get a refund of your money. Dropping a class for a refund is an option. If you do it early enough, you may get the full amount back. The longer you wait, the less money they'll give you back. There's a lot of changing schedules at the beginning of the year. If a course says it's full when you go to sign up, don't be discouraged. The beginning of the semester sees a lot of students changing their schedules around, so there is also the option of adding a class, at least for a first couple of weeks. You can also be put on a wait list, wherein you'll be automatically added to the class if someone else drops. Speaking of changing your mind, students do not have to have their major set in stone when they arrive. You can change your major, the area you're studying in, but it may take you longer to finish and cost you more money. The more you know about what you want before you go, the more efficient and cost-effective it will be. Sometimes students even choose to change schools. If this happens, you want to make sure that your credits will transfer. Many universities don't accept classes from other colleges, which means that you might have to repeat a class. Yeah, it never seems to be the fun classes either. If you know you're moving from, say, a 2-year college like Slick to a 4-year university, double-check to make sure your credits will transfer. Many universities put a cap on how many transfer credits they will accept to prevent someone from having a Harvard degree after only attending for 1 semester. When you go to register for classes at the university, the descriptions of the classes are in the class catalog. This will tell you what the classes are about and which major they're required for. The times that they're offered are in a class schedule. Some classes have to be taken in a certain order. They may have prerequisites, such as taking algebra before you can take calculus. These are also known as prereqs. Many majors have prereqs you have to pass before taking their higher level classes, and the university has classes that it requires called general education or generals. If you'd like to avoid taking some of these lower level classes, which often feel like high school all over again, you could go the route of concurrent enrollment. During high school, some classes can be taken to count towards your high school graduation and college credit. With some work, you can graduate high school with an associate's degree or the first 2 years of college under your belt, which allows you to save at least $7,000 and 2 years of your life. The definition of an associate's degree is generally that it takes 2 years. You can get one from a technical college, community, or junior college, or a 4-year university. A bachelor's degree generally takes 4 years and is also called an undergraduate degree. A master's degree is an academic degree granted to individuals who have undergone study demonstrating a mastery or higher order overview of a specific field of study or area of professional practice. A master's is usually at least an additional 2 years on top of a bachelor's degree. A doctorate degree is the highest level of academic degree. Medical doctors receive a medical doctorate, but you can get a doctorate in almost any subject area, though it takes between 8 and 12 years total to reach this level. Why would anyone want to go to school for another 12 years? Some people really enjoy the learning process and having that depth of knowledge. Some people want to work in a field where it's required. Another reason is money. The more education you get, generally, the higher your pay level. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics for 2014, people ages 25 and over without a high school diploma had an average weekly earning of $488, compared with $681 for high school graduates with no college, and $1,170 per week for those holding at least a bachelor's degree. Those are averages. It varies a lot by the major and degree as well. The more education you get, statistically, the less likely you are to be unemployed. It just gives you more options. Speaking of jobs, some majors require you to gain work experience before awarding your degree. These are called internships. Some internships are paid, but many are not. A good internship can make a huge difference in your career, so start planning early. Often interns are hired on for their first job. An apprenticeship involves more on-the-job training. You gain expertise you can only learn by working with someone experienced in the field. Work-study positions are jobs that are on campus, the library, groundskeepers, cafeteria, custodians, and tend to have flexible scheduling so you can fit your hours in around your classes. Is your brain about to explode yet? Well, don't worry. You'll have to meet with an academic advisor once you get into college who'll help you figure all this out. The biggest thing is, what you're doing now matters. The things you're learning, the hours you're volunteering, the clubs and teams you're on, the money you're saving, the work and life experience you're gaining. Your life doesn't start when you go to college. Your life is now. Oh, and P.S., if you start saving only $25 a week right now, you'll have your first year of college paid for by the time you get there.